Hello everyone and welcome. I hope you all are doing well and thank you so much for joining me on my Patreon. I do appreciate the support. So today's collar is going to be this is a pretty flat collar and it's very movable. It's not super stiff. So this collar, I have found the name for this weave. I found two different names for it. One of them was Hopscotch, and then the other was Wedding. And I don't know which one came first, so I'm just going to credit both of them. So this is my take on those two particular weaves. One thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about before you guys get started is the teal cord. So when I measured it out, I did measure enough cord to make my collar with the instructions that I give, but I had very short ends to work with to do my tie off. So when you're measuring out your cord, I would add another 6 inches to the teal cord, only because you have such a short cord to work with at the end, and it is a little bit easier when you have a longer cord that you can actually grab onto. So that is a suggestion. Other than that, everything went smoothly making it, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. So for the supplies that you'll need for this project, you will need some kind of jig. This right here is the Speedy Jig Pro. I also have the Speedy Jig XL. Both of them are very excellent tools, but if you're on the fence about purchasing a jig, you're not really sure if this is going to be a hobby that you're going to be doing often, you can make your own. You can get about a 15-inch board. You put 2 nails at the top of that board and 2 nails at the bottom of that board. Make sure that those nails are pretty close together, because they will be serving as the tongue part that you slip your work on a jig. You can also get a tape measure and tape that tape measure down that board to help you with measurements. I do suggest having an extra tape measure once you get your work on. You can double check that measurement just to make sure that you have it correct. So you can make a homemade jig. I had a homemade jig for a while before I invested in one of these jigs, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So again, you will need some kind of jig, and like I said, this one here is the Speedy Jig Pro. You're also going to need an adapter. I make my own adapters, and I can leave a link for you guys on how to make an adapter, where to get your supplies from, and all of that. The adapters that I make are 3/4 of an inch wide. They are made with biothane. So this one right here is purple biothane. And if you want to use leather instead of biothane, you can still use my same instructions. I do highly recommend biothane because it's very strong, it's waterproof, and it is very easy to clean. For the cords that we're going to be using for this project, I'm going to start with the main cord that I'm going to do the cow's hitches with, and then I will go on to the other cords and explain them. For the cord that we will be doing the double cow's hitches with, this cord it's really pretty. It's called Sakura Sky, and it is in 550 Paracord. So the way we're going to start our measurements out, first you want to get your dog's neck size, and you want to measure with a tape measure around your dog's neck. You do not want to take your existing collar, lay it out, and then measure against that, because you won't get the right measurements. So you want to measure your dog's neck with a tape measure. And once you get that number, the number that I have today is going to be 16. And that's how big the dog's neck is. So there's a rule with paracording: when you are making a collar or a belt or a bracelet, for every 7 inches of your measurement, you need to add an inch. And that's because paracord collars are quite thick, and the circumference or middle part of your project is going to be smaller than the outer side. So you want to add 1 inch per 7 inches. For me, I have 16 inches. So I'm going to add 2 inches plus 1/4 of an inch to make up that difference. And that brings me to 18 1/4 inches. The next thing you're going to want to do once you get that number is you got to subtract your adapter. So my adapter is 6 inches. When measuring your adapter, be sure that you measure from the top of your square ring to the bottom of your square ring. Make sure that they're nice and straight out and your adapter is flat. You can push on it. You can also turn it over and do it this way if it's easier. But yeah, you're gonna want to push it down so it's nice and flat when you measure it. If you're someone that's thinking about making this into a hobby, I can suggest that you make your adapters all the same length. It just cuts out the extra measuring that you'll have to do each time you want to use an adapter. For me, I like to make these ahead of time, and I just make them all the same unless a customer asks me to make it longer. Then I will do my best to accommodate them, but I always make mine about 6 inches, and it's just less. I don't have to, I know it's 6 inches, so I don't have to measure this part. It makes it just a little bit easier if you already know right off the bat that, okay, this is 6 inches, I'll go to everything else. It's just a suggestion. So my total number was 18 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to subtract the 6 from that. I'll get 12 1/4, and that is how long the paracord part of my collar is going to be. The rule of thumb when working with paracord is for every inch of your project, you need to have a foot of cord. So my paracord part of my project came out to 12 1/4 inches. So what I'm going to need is 12 feet and 1/4 of a foot. For this particular project, I'm going to actually need a little bit more because we're working with 3 cow's hitches at the top of our work and 2 at the bottom. I'm adding some extra in the middle of our work. So the way I figured out how to compensate for that extra that I'm going to need is I took the paracord part of my collar and I times that by 2.5. And I came up with 30 inches. And I'm going to take that 30 inches and I'm going to add that to the 12 feet and 1/4 foot that I need. And I come up with 14 feet and 7 inches. So for the cow's hitch cord that I am going to be using, I am going to need 14 feet and 7 inches. For the other cords that I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using this super bright teal and this neon purple. These are both 550 paracord. And the way I measured out for this is I did the rule of thumb, which is 12 1/4 inches, the paracord part of my collar. For these particular cords, I did the 12 1/4 feet, and then I subtracted 2 from that. And you can do that with any length that you're going to be at. You just want to subtract 2 from that length. And then we are going to use a 550 in white. The way you're going to measure this particular cord out is that you just want to take that measurement that you did for your paracord part of your collar, where you times it by 2.5, and you're going to take that number minus 30, and I'm going to cut this at 30 inches. So to start this project off, you are going to hook up your cow's hitches to the adapter, and then hook up the adapter to your jig. If your adapter is in one piece, you want to unbuckle it and make it into the 2 pieces. Next, we are going to take our Sakura Sky cord, which is the cow's hitch cord, and we are going to find the middle of this cord. The way I like to do this is I put my 2 ends together, and then I will kind of pinch it together with my top hand, and I will just pull on the bottom. And you're just going to keep on going until you get to the end. And when you get to the end, you'll have this little loop. This is the middle of your cord. If you want to double check it, that's perfectly fine. You might have to untwist it a little bit. So you're going to take this loop and you're going to take the buckle side of your collar. When working with your adapter, make sure that the adapter is facing up. And if you have a D-ring, flip that D-ring up so you can get it out of the way, because you're only going to be working with this square ring. So you're going to take this loop and you're going to go from front to back of your adapter with this loop. So go from front to back. You're just going to push it through that ring. Flip it over. You can pull on your loop a little bit. Make sure that you pull in the middle so it's even. Now you can take your adapter and push that buckle right through that loop. Pull the loop down, and then pull down on those other ends that you have holding, and there is your first cow's hitch. Now we're going to flip it around. And you can let your right side just drop down. Now we're going to work with our left side. What you want to do, make sure that nothing is crisscrossed, and then you're going to have your left cord come up and around towards the left. You can make a loop now with it. You're going to take your other part of your adapter with the holes in it, make sure that it is facing up, and what you're going to do here is you're just going to go right through that square ring from front to back again. You can pull up on the loop if you need to, and you're just going to push your adapter through that square ring, pull it down, and then tighten it up. So you have your first cow's hitch on the other side, and now we will work with the one cord that is on your right. So take your right cord, you are gonna pull it out a little bit so you can make a loop. You're gonna go again front to back through this square ring. So go front to back through the square ring. Make sure that you're on the right side of the knot that you just made. So go from front to back. And you're gonna pull that cord all the way through. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to take your cord and you want to bring it to the front of your work. So you're just going to go on the left side of the cord that you're working with, and it's really in between your cow hitch that you just made and the cord that you're working with, and you're just going to pull up on that cord to make it come to the front. And next, what you're going to do is you're going to go over the cord on the right. You're going to drag it out, you're going to make a loop, and you're going to go from back to front with that loop through your square ring. So take your loose cord and you're going to go over, drag it out, make a loop. Now you're going to go from back to front through this loop, and you want to be on the all the way to the right of all of your work here that's going through the square ring. So back to front. Now you can put your finger right next to the cord that is on the right. Pull this through. And where you have your finger, you can pull that out. You do have a loop there now. And you want to go down that loop from the front of the loop to the back. So you just want to go down that loop with your cord and then pull it tight. And there you have your two cow's hitches on this side. Now we're going to turn it around again. I'm going to start with my cord that is on my left. I'm going to make sure nothing is crisscrossed in any way. What you want to do here is, again, you're going to go from front to back through this square ring with your left cord. So you're just going to push that through. And pull it all the way through. Now you want this cord that you pulled through to be on the right side of your cord that you're working with. So you're coming in between your cow's hitch and the cord that you're working with. So you're just pulling it to the front. Then you're going to go over this cord on your left. You're going to loop it up and you're going to push it through the back to the front of the square ring. So I'm going to go over. And then I'm going to loop it up so I can work with it a little bit. It helps to loop it up. It makes it a little bit easier to work with. So we went over, I looped it up, and now I'm going to go from back to front. I am going to put my finger right next to that cord. I'm going to be putting it on the left of the cord that we started with, and I'm going to pull this loop all the way through. And now I have a loop here. I'm going to move my finger. I have that loop there. And I am going to now take my cord and I'm going to go from the front of this loop to the back of this loop. So I'm just going to go down through this loop and pull it through. And you got your second cow's hitch on there, and now we'll work on the third. So you're going to take your right cord that's loose, and you're just going to make a loop and push it down this square ring from front to back. So push that down through there and pull it through. Now you want to come to the front of your work with your cord. So you want to go on the left side of the cord that you're working and just pull that through. So now you're to the front. Again, you're going to go over that cord on your right. You're going to drag it out and loop it up and then bring it from the back to the front. You can put your finger here to help make that ending loop that you'll need. So I'm going to go over and then loop it up, back to front, pull it through. I had my finger there, so I have a loop now. And now I'm just going to push that cord down through that loop. And you have your third cow's hitch. And now you can put it on your jig. So the way we're going to be putting this on the jig is you want to put the side with the 3 cow's hitches at the top of your work. So you're going to take your square ring and just put the top tongue through that square ring. So if you have a nail with boards, you're going to put the square ring over the nails. Just going to place that one on and put the bottom one the same way over that tongue. And I'm not going to measure out just yet. I want to add my cords that I'm going to be using to the top of my work, and then I'm going to make everything nice and tight. The first cord that we're going to add to the project is going to be the teal. And I am using a paracord needle today. So I want to go through all 3 of these cow's hitches. So I'm just going to loosen them up a little bit. If you do not have a paracord needle, although how helpful it is to have one, you can melt the top of your cord to make a hard cap so you can feed it through the cow's hitches. So I'm just going to go right in between the first cow's hitch, the second, and then the third. Like that. I'm going to pull it to the other side, and I'm going to bring the middle of the teal to the top of my work. The next cord is going to be the neon purple. And what I'm going to be doing with this cord is I actually want to go just in between this middle cow's hitch. So the center cow's hitch, I'm going to just feed my needle through that cow's hitch, bring this to the other side, and bring the middle of the neon purple to the top of my work. And the last cord will be the white, and I am going to do the same thing that I did with the neon purple. I'm just going to go through that middle stitch. What you're going to want to do though is you want to have your cord laying on top of your purple. So you're going to bring this to the other side, and then you're going to bring the middle of the white cord to the top of your work. So once you have all of your cords going through your cow's hitches, you have them in the middle at the top of your work. You've tightened up your work and double checked your measurements. We can get started. So I'm going to be starting off on my right side with the Sakura Sky cord, and I am going to just call my double cow's hitch cord Sky because I'm getting kind of tongue-tied saying Sakura Sky. Sorry. So I'm just going to call it the Sky cord. So I'm going to start off with my right Sky cord, and what I'm going to do is I want to go over these two cords, go straight down the middle of my work, and then come over to the left. So take your cord on the right, you're going to go over the two, right down the middle, and down towards the left. Next, I'm going to take my sky cord on my left side, and I'm going to go underneath the cord that I just worked. And what I want to do now is I want to go in the middle again. So I'm going to go over the two cords now that are on the left. I'm going to go in the middle, but I want to go over the cord that I just worked. So I'm going to go above that cord and go down the middle. And then I'm going to come out the right. You have a loop here that you just made. You're going to just come out that loop. So go down the middle and then over, and you're coming out that loop. So you're going to start with your teal on your right side. And what you want to do with this is you have your loop here that's on your right. You're going to come up that loop with your teal, and you're just going to pull that through. Now you're going to go on the left. You have your loop here on your left. You're going to take your teal and you're going to go underneath and come up through that loop. So you have them coming straight down, it looks like. Next, we're going to take the teal again on the right side. And what we're going to do here is you want to come over. You're kind of going to cross over down through the middle, and then you're going to come back up again through this loop on your right side. So you're just going to go over and you cross over, and then you bring it around, and then again you're going to come up through this loop and pull it through. Now on the left, you're going to cross over here on the left. You're going to come back around, and you're going to come up this loop on your left side. So take the one on your left, go over and down the middle, and then you can just push it along and come up this loop and pull it through. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your white cord, and what you want to do is take the one on the right, and you're just going to go underneath your teal. Just bring it right underneath that teal. And take the one on the left and go underneath the teal on the left. Just pull that through. And those are straight down. And for the neon purple, you have your two horizontal cords directly in the middle. You can pull up on those a little bit. You're going to take your neon purple that is on your right side, and you're going to go over and around those cords and come up the left side of your cord. So take the one on the left, go over, and you can loop your finger in there to loop it around. Bring it up on the left side of your working cord. On the left now, you're going to cross over that cord, and you're going to go around those two horizontal pieces and up out the right. So go over and around and up, out the right, and then you can tighten it up. Okay, once you have that all nice and tight, we can start the weave again. I am going to be starting off on my right side, and I failed to mention this in the beginning of the first weave. I did roll up my ends for my cow's hitch cord to make it a little bit easier to work with. I left everything else unrolled. So I'm going to take my white and I'm just going to flip it up to the top right for now. And I'm going to start with my right sky cord. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over these two cords, down the middle, and then come over to the left. So I'm going to go over those two, down the middle, over to the left. I'm going to take the sky cord on my left now. I'm going to go underneath the cord that I just worked. And I'm going to go over those two on my left now, but go above the cord that I just worked, go down the middle, and then I have my loop here. I'm going to come out my loop. Just go down and over. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to take my white and I'm going to have them come down. Now I'm going to take my teal on the right side and I want to go underneath this loop right here. So I'm going to go from the back and bring it to the front with the right cord. Next I'm going to take the left cord. I'm going to go towards the back, come up this loop. So I'm going to go towards the back, up through this loop, bring my cord through. Next, I'm going to take my teal on my right, and what I would like to do is I'm going to go over the white cord and over these cords, and I'm going to go down the middle, and then I'm going to come up my loop on my right side. So take your teal on the right, go over, bring it down, and then bring it, you have your loop right here. You're going to come up this loop, pull it through. Take the one on the left now. You're going to go over the white and across, down the middle, and then come up on the loop on the left side. So take your teal on the left, go over and around. So you've gone across and around, come up that loop and pull it through. And now we're going to take our purple. And what I'm doing with this middle cord is I'm going to be changing the crisscross on each one. So before I started with the right and I went around those two horizontal pieces and I came up the left. This time I'm taking the one on the left and I'm going to be going around those two horizontal pieces and I'm coming up on the right side. Then I'm going to take the one on the right, I'm going to go cross over and I'm going to go around those two horizontal pieces and I'm going to come up the left. So around and then up the left, and then I'm going to tighten it up. Now that we have that nice and tight, we can start the weave again. I'm just going to put my white to the top for now. And I'm going to take my sky on my right, and I'm going to go right down the middle, and then I'm going to bring it over to the left. So take the one on the right, go down the middle, and then over to the left. Next, take your sky that is on your left side and go underneath the cord that you just worked. You're going to go above the cord that you just worked, down the middle, and then come out this loop on your right. So go down and over. Next we'll take the white and we're just going to push this down or lay it down. Then we're going to take our teal on the right and we're going to go around the back and come up through that loop. Pull it through. Take the one on the left, go around the back and come up through the loop. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cross over and go down the middle. So we're going to go over the white and the 2 horizontal cords. It's like a little intersection right here. We're going to go across that, and then we're going to come up through this loop that we made on our right. So take your cord on the right of teal, cross over, go around the back side, and then come up through that loop on your right side. And again, you're going to cross over, go down the middle, and then come up through the loop that you made on the left. So take your teal on the left, go over, cross over, and around, and come up through that loop. Next, we're going to take our neon purple, and what we're going to do is we're just going to do the crossover that we did in the beginning. We're going to take our right cord of neon, we're going to find those 2 horizontal pieces, you're going to go over and around them, and you're going to come up the left side of your cord. So go over and around and come up the left. Take the one on the right now, go over, so you're crossing over your other neon purple, find those 2 horizontal cords, you're going to go around them and come up on the right side of your cord, and then you're just going to tighten it up. Okay, so I'm at the end of my collar, and I'm going to take it off the jig, and we can weave in our ends. So the way I'm going to be weaving in my ends is, so I'm going to be starting with my sky cords. And what I want to do is I'm going to take the one on the right, and you have a gap in between your work and your 2 cow's hitches. You got this hole, and you're going to want to go in that hole. And you really, I don't need a paracord needle for that part. So I'm going to do both sky cords through that hole. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white cord on my right. So I'm going to take my white cord on my right, and what I want to do here is, you have your cow's hitch on the right. I'm going to go down, just straight down the middle of that cow's hitch, bring the cord to the other side, do the same with the white on the left side, just go down the middle of this left cow's hitch. Now I'm going to just try and straighten it out a little bit. Some of my cords are a little curled. And now with the teal cords, and honestly, I wish they weren't as short. I don't like working with such short cords. I want to again go in the middle of the 2 cow's hitches and just stick my cord through there. Do the same on the other side. And now for the purple, I'm going to just keep that crisscross that I had going. And again, go through that middle, right in between the two cow's hitches. And now I'm going to tighten everything up. All right, so this is what my tie-off looks like, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm not super thrilled with it because it's not following the pattern all the way to the end exactly, but the only way that I could figure out how to get my cords to be all on the back side of the collar for melting them and squishing them down, this is the only way that I could figure out how to do it. But if any of you have a suggestion on a better tie-off and how to do it, please let me know, because I will do a bonus video on whichever month I figure out how to do it, and it will be a completely free video here on Patreon, and I will do it with that particular tie-off, so I could give you guys a better option, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't want to do the same video twice just for a different tie-off, so I think it should be for free. So again, if you have any suggestions on a better way, please let me know. But we'll continue now with the tie-off. So for the tie-off, I will be using a torch lighter, and I'm going to be using my knottage tool. But you can use a regular lighter. It takes a little bit longer to get the cord nice and hot. I think that the torch lighters work better. And you can use a butter knife to squish it down. I do that often. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to start, here we go. I'm going to start on all the way to my left, and I'm going to cut about 1/2 inch up from the collar. I'm going to fray it out. You can hold these cords or try to hold them out of the way. I'm going to melt it, and I'm going to squish it down. So I'm going to melt that. You want to get it nice and hot. Try not to let it catch on fire, but it does happen. And now I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to squish it down. So next I will do the sky. Same length cutting it. Fray it out. You can move these over a little bit. Melt it. And squish that down. And then next I'll do the teal. And I'm just going to do the same thing. And I'm just going to keep going down the row until I got them all melted and squished down. Okay, once you have all of that melted, and I have to say that I was a little bit worried about it being like super bulky back here because of how the cords were coming out and laying, but it's really not. And I think that's because it's such a very flat collar. So if you want to use your collar the way it is, you can. You can hook it up to your dog and be on your way. What I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be putting some Gorilla Glue on my ends. I put Gorilla Glue on all of my ends for some extra security. So I use clear, non-foaming Gorilla Glue, but this isn't something that you have to do. It's just an extra security. I'm going to put a little bit, a couple of dabs right here in this general area where I melted everything. And after that, I'm going to let it dry. So for me right now with drying, it takes about 12 hours. And once it's dry, I will show you guys what the finished result looks like. But all I'm going to do is do a couple of drops. And I'm going to smear it around. And I'll let that dry.